What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, today marks a very special date, and before I get into this video, I want to have a quick disclaimer. This video is about Arturo Gatti, rest in peace, and happy birthday. True warrior, true class act, and he's a fighter. I will say this disclaimer before I get started. I'm Ego. I'm not Jim Lampley. I'm not Max Kellerman. I'm nobody else but myself. So, the things I'm going to say in this video, I'm going to be brutally honest, like I always am. Arturo Gatti, he was not the most technical or the gifted fighter. So, like I said, I'm not Lampley. I'm not going to do like the fight game and have the Gatti list. I do respect Arturo Gatti for being a true warrior inside of that ring because it takes a lot to lace him up. But in this video, I'm not going to make it sound like he was the best fighter that ever lived in terms of what he did inside of the ring. However, what I will say, I don't have a Gotti list or anything. This guy came to fight and he had the heart of a lion, which is something I wish more of the fighters in the later generations did, because what he didn't possess in just natural innate ability and skill, he made up for it with a tremendous heart. And he still has a fight that if you watch it now, it's a classic. When it first happened, it was an instant classic. This is just a little quick story. I remember after Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti, the first fight, I was young and I didn't see it live. I didn't watch it live. I don't know what I was doing. I was at school, at a birthday party. I don't know. I don't know where I was. However, my dad recorded it on a tape and then he was like, son, well, he didn't call me son, he called me my name, but he was like, you got to check this out. He put the tape in and my eyes were glued to the TV. It was just sustained action, two warriors banging each other up, and it was a lot of ebb and flow. 1 minute Gotti had the upper hand, then the next Ward had the upper hand. They show it in the Mark Wahlberg movie, The Fighter, and it was just good stuff. It was boxing, and that's one of the memories that I have in boxing that I remember being marveled at what I was watching. I'm like, damn, two guys are really going at it like this, and it looked like they were both tired, both fatigued, and still trying to win. And that's what Arturo Gatti, to me, is known for. Even though he's been outclassed, he has tons of losses. In fact, everyone that he stepped up with in terms of the big names, he lost to. He lost to Mickey Ward the first time, lost to Oscar De La Hoya, he lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr., and he lost to Alfonso Gomez. Really, everybody with a big name, Carlos Baldemir. But you can't match what he brought to the table in terms of that heart. Whereas you got guys like Tor Hamer and Vic Ortiz, they wish they could go to the Wizard of Oz to get a heart like that, because this guy was a tremendous warrior. And no matter how deep he was in, he still, like, he would fight. And I feel like even if he was outclassed and getting embarrassed, his heart was still in it. And that takes a lot. That takes a lot to be getting just completely dominated. Like in the Floyd Mayweather fight, he was bigger than Mayweather. I believe the fight actually took place in his adopted home of New Jersey in Atlantic City. And Floyd Mayweather put on a show, like a spectacle, and really dominated. I mean, that's, if you were to watch Floyd Mayweather highlights, you got to put that on the highlight reel. Floyd Mayweather had a masterclass performance. He was like tripling up some of the punches. His speed was bothering Arturo Gatti, but nowhere in it did Arturo Gatti want to give up. It looked like his corner, I mean, he might have wanted to give up mentally, but he was just being outclassed. And it's good to see those type of throwback fighters who win, lose, or draw. They're there and then they come back. Like I said, he lost to Oscar De La Hoya, then he fought Mickey Ward, then he fought Floyd Mayweather, lost to Baldemir. His loss to Alfonso Gomez, I would say, it was a sad moment, because in boxing, these guys go through a lot. A lot of them come from poverty. A lot of them come from fucked up situations, low educations. They put everything on the line for their families and on the line for the sport, for the entertainment. And Arturo Gatti is a quintessential example of that. So it was just sad to see a fighter who gave it his all. And then if you look at the Alfonso Gomez fight, he lost to a fighter who is like a C fighter. I mean, Alfonso Gomez is not a world beater. He was on the Contender or whatever, but to me, he's just not the best, the end all be all of fights. And he looked pretty bad. Arturo Gatti looked pretty bad in that fight. So it's just a sad moment to see a fighter, such a warrior, just he was getting cut, and I don't know, he just got battered in that fight with Alfonso Gomez. And I don't know. I always, not always, but a lot of times I root for the underdog. And it's just sad to see when a fighter has spent so much time in the sport to the point where they just look really shot worn and been through too many wars and they look washed. Same thing with Shane Mosley. It's kind of heartbreak when I see him. I didn't even watch the fight live, but when I hear about him losing to Anthony Mundane, a guy I feel he was perfectly capable of beating in his prime. So that's the good and the bad, the gift and the curse with boxing. Some fighters don't know when to get out. Other than that, Arturo Gatti, rest in peace, because he died mysteriously July of 2009. They later ruled it a suicide. Initially, it was his wife that was charged with the murder. It was out in Brazil. Just some freak accident type of stuff. Well, not accident. A lot of people don't believe that he committed suicide. I don't really think he committed suicide, but since it happened in another country, another region, not the United States, I don't know how much they spent in terms of investigation. Since it happened in Brazil, initially she was charged with the murder, and then I guess they couldn't find sufficient evidence that she did it. But the whole situation just sounds too freakish. They said she was in the room with him, with his dead body, or in the hotel room. They were in a hotel or something, and she was indoors with him for 10 hours before she even realized he was dead. Just unexplainable stuff, which makes it sound really suspect. And then a lot of friends of Arturo Gatti, they don't believe, based on the type of warrior he was inside the ring and what they knew of him outside of the ring, that he would do something like that. He had a 10-month-old son. He had other kids, and he's just been through a lot in his life, and he's a warrior. He's a true Italian warrior, and they don't think he would take his own life. And just if you watch his fights and then hear about him committing suicide, it is hard to believe, because he's the definition of a warrior. So for him to have taken his own life, that's kind of like an oxymoron, because in the ring he was such a heart-filled warrior. So it's sad. Like I said, he's been gone for, I think it's 5 years now, and I think the sport needs more guys like Arturo Gatti, just in the sense of he's willing to take on all challengers. And there's a lot of guys in the sport, win, lose, or draw, they're fighting good competition, and Arturo Gatti's one of the person. He fought the De La Hoyas. He fought Mickey Ward 3 times. He fought Mayweather, Baldomir, Gomez, the people that are relevant in his era. So you got to give him credit. And to take those losses and still have a name and later get inducted into the Hall of Fame, I mean, these are all good accomplishments. So happy birthday to Arturo Gatti. Another thing I like is how you can go through a trilogy with Mickey Ward and such intense, great fights, and then they later became friends outside of the ring. So that's what boxing's all about, that underdog story, that spirit, the spirit of the fighters, not, oh, boxing's a business, so because Arturo Gatti lost to De La Hoya, he can't fight Mickey Ward. Because he lost to Mickey Ward, he can't fight Floyd Mayweather. If they're the best fights at the moment, the people want to see it, and it makes sense, and both fighters are willing, make the fight happen. Fuck this, boxing's a business, so this doesn't make enough business sense. Arturo Gatti doesn't bring fans and all this extra politics, and Arturo Gatti's with HBO, he can't fight, you know what I mean? I'm just sick of it. And Arturo Gatti, again, although he's not the most skilled fighter, like I said, I'm not Jim Lampley where I'm going to sugarcoat it and make it sound like he was the most talented fighter I've ever seen, because he wasn't. But he did make up for that in the heart department, and he's a good addition. Boxing needs all of those styles. We need the warriors, we need the brawlers, we need the Rigondeaux and the talented technicians. That's what makes boxing special. So he holds a special place in boxing for what he did. He used his tools and he used what he had to offer the boxing world, and he left an everlasting impact. So salute to him. Happy birthday, Arturo Gatti, true warrior. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, is Ego, signing off.